and welcome back to Game Escape. Here today with a review of Titanfall for the PC. I've been doing a lot of PC gaming over the past 2 weeks or so. I just did a major upgrade of my main PC, put in a GTX 780, and I wanted to kind of find a game, kind of a modern game, and test it out. And of course, in March, Titanfall really was the big release for PCs, so picked it up. And of course, it's not the graphical powerhouse that maybe a Crysis 3 might be, but it was the new game, so I thought I would check it out. And Titanfall, to me, was one of the more interesting games that came out with the Xbox One. And when they announced it, I thought that it looked like an interesting, different take on the first-person shooter genre. Now that I've delved into it a little bit, I've probably played it for I would say 5 or 6 quote-unquote campaign missions, and played a little bit of the multiplayer. Well, of course it's all multiplayer game, but just the sort of the classic attrition modes and capture the flag, hardpoint games, stuff like that. And it is a fun game, but I feel somewhat mixed about it. And I wanted to sort of talk about that here in the review. But first of all, what you're going to notice, certainly within this first sort of 2 minutes of gameplay, is that I'm not very good at this game. I am not someone who has played a lot of competitive first-person shooters or first-person shooters at all. I mean, I've sort of watched the genre evolve over the years. I remember playing Doom on the PC and stuff like that, but really my last, I guess, serious foray into competitive first-person shooters was Unreal Tournament 2004. So you can kind of see how long it's been since I've really gotten into this. Now I've played Call of Duty, and again, I've had my experiences with these games online, but I haven't really played it seriously or intensely. So you'll see that I more or less suck. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about Titanfall, certainly within the first 2 or 3 hours of playing the game, is that it's still fun, even though I'm terrible at it. And I think that's a major credit to the gameplay mechanics. Of course, you have the highly praised parkour system where you can, run up walls, the strong boost that you acquire for your pilot, and of course, just the stark difference between playing in a Titan and playing as a pilot. I think these things make the game different, make the game engaging and enjoyable, really, for anyone who's been in the genre. These are legitimately new mechanics that I think breathe some life into this type of game. So, I mean, I think in that sense, it's entertaining. Now, I'm saying it was fun not because I was playing with the smart pistol with the automatic lock-on, which I think a lot of people kind of complained about, particularly veterans of this sort of game. But just this intensity of a match, and this idea that there are these different strategies, and you really have to know the map. Even when I was getting absolutely destroyed, as you can see here, I thought it was fun. It didn't discourage me from continuing to play, and I think that's, like I said, that's a credit to the way in which this game is designed. I also think that there's a nice sense of progression. I feel my character, each match I gain enough experience so that, I'm leveling up in some way, earning burn cards. This is, I guess you would call it a buff or a perk system where you can sort of have these kind of one-off abilities that you can engage when you die. A couple of the criticisms, though, that I have of this game, I'll say the first one is that, you're in these Titans, and these Titans are these, overpowered mechs, and yet when I play them, I actually feel kind of vulnerable. I don't feel like I can go on a rampage and take out a couple of pilots. I mean, to me, at least I think that, when you're in one of these things, you should feel temporarily invincible, and yet I feel kind of exposed not only to the attacks of the other Titans, but also to pilots who may want to, jump on my head and cause some serious damage. Yeah, again, maybe that's because I'm not very good at the game. I'm not really using the strafing mechanic as well as I can. I'm not deploying the shield that the Titans have as quickly or as effectively. I mean, I get all that, but I still think in their attempt to balance the pilots and the Titans, that nonetheless the Titans feel a little too underpowered, in my opinion. Now, I think the other kind of larger criticism, and this is why I feel so torn about this game, is that it is an example of a very, very solid idea, very, very solid, essentially, gameplay structure that is, I think, crippled by a substandard business model. And the paramount problem is that it is an online-only game. And, of course, a lot was made out of this 6 versus 6, plus some AI grunts that you can take out. I guess it makes you feel a little bit more powerful to do that. It also sort of alerts people to where you may be on the map. But anyway, it's just 6-on-6 online. There's no single-player campaign mode, and there's no training mode, which is surprising because this is a Source Engine game, and I kind of wish, much like something like Counter-Strike, you could play a game, put some bots on the map. Maybe you could sort of adjust their AI and practice, or at least for me, that would be useful and fun. I mean, I have always played first-person shooter games casually, so my first instinct is to play the offline mode, to play the single-player mode, to play against bots, and just have some fun with it, experiment with sort of the different weapons, different difficulty settings. And as you can sort of see, I mean, the grunts that you can take out, they're not very challenging. The pilots are, so I feel like they could have created a mode where you play some really difficult pilots and train and maybe have a little bit better chance of being successful online. So it's a lot, it's got a lot of money. It's a $60 game for what is a very, very limited online experience, and that's a shame because the play of the game is really, really good, and it kind of reminds me of Unreal Tournament 2004 in a way. I mean, I think it has so much going for it as a game that it would be nice to just have a little bit more variety. And I can kind of guess that they'll probably throw in extra map packs. Maybe single-player story mode is a paid expansion, but that's a problem. So I think the game is hard to recommend in its current form. It's incredibly fun. It is, I think, a nice break from Call of Duty. It has an interesting world. I think the mech aspect of it, the kind of space war thing, is nice. It's not. It's kind of refreshing to not be in the Middle East taking out terrorists or Russians or something like that. But I don't know what sort of longevity the game will have, and it's kind of interesting. It's been out for, I guess, just about a month now, and it just doesn't seem to have a lot of staying power. I mean, not a lot of people are streaming it on Twitch. I almost wonder if, at this point, the novelty has begun to wear off a little bit, and I think that's a shame. But as a just as an idea, just as a conception, it's not a revolutionary game, but it is a lot of fun. And I just wish that EA and Respawn and the powers that be will add to it in meaningful ways and let you sort of take it offline and tinker with it as far as training modes and stuff like that. So I can see, I'm guessing that this series is going to have a certain degree of staying power. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a quote-unquote traditional first-person campaign type of game, either as an expansion or as a paid expansion or as a separate game. But yeah, this was nonetheless a fun, enjoyable kind of re-entry point for me into first-person shooters, and I probably will play it off and on. And it's my hope that the concepts here are meaningfully expanded upon. So I thank you as always for watching Game Escape, and I'll be back shortly with another video.